out whatever you think is inappropriate or doesn't fit the profile.
We've already had some swears. And
I'm not going to curse.
Okay.
I don't curse.
Oh, no, okay.
Do I curse?
Yes.
All right. I didn't mean to say I didn't curse. I occasionally curse.
Hey, what about
Hi, I'm Frank Banasik, Trumco Roofing, Buffalo, New York, for the last 32 years. John Breidenbach has asked me to participate in this program with some quick incidentals that you might find interesting. First and foremost, when I first came to this area, from a background of not knowing roofing at all, it's a long haul to gain some stature in the community, and we were able to secure a lot of business through large industrial facilities that have since gone by the wayside. You've heard me talk in the past about evolving to survive. Well, we've had to evolve to survive to ensure that we have an opportunity here for continued income within my family and, of course, growth of the Trumco brand in the area. So what we chose to do about 15 years ago, at the direction of some of our clients who are public sector, was to pursue the architectural community. An overwhelming degree of difficulty became apparent in that we could walk in easily and talk about all the good things that we do relative to roofing and all the support we can provide. But when it came time for push comes to shove, Frank, I need a detail, Frank, I need a spec, Frank, I need some help, can you do this or do that? I was not able to deliver the amount of time and energy to that they were expecting. So in 2006, we hired Brad Ferris as a co-worker between Mike Golevsky out of Rochester and myself here in Buffalo, and Brad filled that niche very, very comfortably to the point where our sales have been consistently solid for the last, well, let's say 7 or 8 years, and to the point where we're probably doing, in round numbers now, combining Buffalo and Rochester, probably $10 million in black line business every year. Now, when you do the math on that, being more specific, that's about $200,000 per week in rounded numbers with a 50-week year. So there's a real opportunity in the architectural community to do that. Now, when I say Brad Ferris, he filled in the voids that we couldn't fulfill, and he's done that significantly. And most important of all, more than anything, we really try to work hard in this particular geography, as we do in Rochester, to be the call made first by that architectural person. Do they have a question on this, that, or anything? We want them to call us first. So we have to establish a level of expertise, and most important, as Mike Golevsky said a while back, we need to be urgent in our response, meaning that they take priority over most everything else. Brad was telling me just recently that he got a call about stovepipes, Brad? Stovepipes, of all things. We're not in the stovepipe business, but because that architect called, Brad was able to get his hands around the information necessary to move that project along and maybe see if we could fit ourselves into that. Which brings me to the YMCA story, Brad, real quick. We had an architect go off the reservation a little bit and write their own specification for a building that we knew was coming down the pipe, but they did not want to include us for whatever reason. They didn't think we could make the budget. So Brad gets the specification that's published, and it calls for a single-ply roof over a steel deck. We hit the panic button a little bit, and then we go back and we say, maybe we could help you out a little bit by just confirming that your specification is actually doable from a contractor point of view, which we do a lot of, by the way. Support the contractors, support the architects. Well, when we finally got the opportunity to go look at the building, we found out that the roof was, or the building construction was not just steel deck, but it had concrete, tectum, gypsum, and steel. And that specification would not have been biddable in the eyes of the contracting community, to the point where they would either choose not to bid it, or they would ratchet the numbers up. Or even worse, they'd be looking for a change order. That's not good from an architect's point of view. That's poor representation in the eyes of the building owner. So with our efforts there, we were able to turn that back around, and we're still working at that budget. So it's a big push and shove to get there. But on the other hand, we've established ourselves again in that firm as you should call us first. We are your go-to people for that. Secondly, the conversation that we had last year relative to the presentation put on, it appeared to be well received by the sales group, by many of the sales group anyway, and some of the management people, to the point where we really thought we were going to inspire and motivate a lot of the sales reps to take this out and run with this new market opportunity. It's not new products. It's what we've been doing for a long time, but it's what we do best. We don't need the latest and greatest thickness of EPDM or the new TPO or whatever. We're talking about serviceability to the architects, which can put added income into their pockets. The meeting last year was well received, as I said, and I did some research in the last couple of weeks leading up to this presentation. I was disappointed, straight up. I was disappointed and a little bit angry about it too, that I found, probably in rounded numbers, of all the regions around the country, there are probably only 50 sales reps who are truly putting an effort in to growing that architectural engineering market opportunity. How can that possibly be? We have about 150 additional reps that are not really putting any energy into it, and why not? We've talked about this in this meeting today. Are you intimidated by it? You shouldn't be. You're going to talk about everything that you typically do for anybody else and see what their receptivity is. If they're more skilled and more confident in what they're talking about, you'll recognize that quickly, and you'll have to step up your game or step out. But on the other hand, most of the architects you're going to talk to will find that you'll have some interesting things to say. I talked to Greg Boyd this morning. Greg Boyd tells me that what he does is he doesn't go in and talk about products anymore. He talks about all the things that the other manufacturers that come to visit won't talk about. I found that fascinating. What a great, inspiring thing to say. He talks about sustainability and codes compliance and other things that the other manufacturers come in and drop their sheet on the table and say, here's what you should be using. He doesn't do any of that. He's talking about how to ensure the specs are accurate so that we don't have change orders and we don't have ambiguity from the contracting community. He's trying to become the business partner to them. Next conversation took place with Ed Broderick. By the way, congratulations, Ed. $5 million in the first quarter in 2015. Stunning. That's an understatement. It takes us a full year to do $5 million. You've got to start working hard at that. Anyway, the point is, with $5 million, I spoke to Ed directly. I said, how much of that business is driven through the architectural community? His answer, 100% of it. 100% of his business so far this year, God knows where his number is going to stop this year, by the way, comes through the architectural community. Coincidentally, he told me he got a call yesterday from one of those architects that he's working with right now who gave him 10 more buildings to look at. 10 more buildings. And I ask anybody in this room who's watching this, how much time and energy do you have to expend to get anybody to offer you five to 10 more buildings to look at? He's got 10 because he's got the architectural relationship as a business partner. He added on an interesting thing. He says, the contractors recognize this. If you've done your homework and you've worked closely with the architect, you ask him the critical question in Ed's mind, can you put me down as the basis of design? What that message is throughout the contracting community is, you've done the work, you know the building inside out, you know the situation, and you should be the first call from their point of view. That's how Ed has developed his situation, and as Bob Street was telling me, Ed's territory is relatively small county in a tourist area of New Jersey. How is he able to do this business? He's recognized that that's what he has to do to survive in this particular market. I think it's incredible. Congratulations, Ed.